Beautiful souls, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing, amazing week. Welcome. Um, this live has just gone completely directly without doing.
Hi everyone, I hope you guys are having an amazing
Hold on.
day.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. So weird. Yeah, so I think the settings have changed on Zoom and it's just automatically goes live without having to do what I used to have to do, which is cut and paste the code. Anyway, really happy to be here, everyone. Sorry about that delay and weird um, technical thing. Welcome, Naitai, Jaidan, Rachel, good vibes. Alexander, welcome. So great to see you guys here. And in the Zoom, Art, Elaine, Esteban, Julie, Linda, Nicholas, Steve, and Victoria. What an honor to connect with you guys here. Thank you so much. So today I have a topic that has been coming up really strongly over the past couple of weeks, and I think over this phase that we're going through, um, which is what I want to talk to you about today. We often talk about how we make decisions and choices in life, and I get this question a lot. How do we make the decision? How do we know that a decision that we're making is in alignment with us? We talk about discernment. But a lot of the things that are happening is that we experience things and they cause a challenge for us, a challenge, sometimes painful changes in life. Again, the law of accident comes in. So we talked about the law of accident, we talked about the law of attraction, and last week we talked about how what we are truly subconsciously believing about ourselves is what we're attracting. But there's yet another element to the creation process, and that creation process is essentially coming down to, okay, so who you really are. Well, how can you define who you really are? What is actually creating is two choices that we're constantly making. And I'm discovering and rediscovering this choice every time in my sessions daily with clients as we dig deep into the subconscious mind of problems that are happening, challenges that are happening, soul, dark nights of the soul, this kind of thing. And what keeps coming up is that we're making two choices between who is actually making that choice within us. Is it the ego or the soul? Okay. So this is fundamentally really the most core aspect of creation. And as we are coming into these elevated states of awareness, we are being forced to really look at what part of us is actually creating in this present moment. Because as the frequencies of the world are heightening and as we're moving through this evolutionary cycle, things are manifesting quicker, which means that we are being shown what we're manifesting much, much faster. And most civilized civilizations, most elevated civilizations, um, are actually operating through instant manifestation. Okay, hold on, let me fix this.
Instant manifestation. And instant manifestation, when we create on that level, when there are ancient civilizations that are creating on that those dimensional levels, um, what you guys can't hear me? Is that right? Hold on, some technical stuff. Hold on, just 1 second. Let me figure out what happened. Hello, hello, hello. Testing mic, testing mic. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Testing mic. Hello, hello, hello. Testing the mic. Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Hi, guys. Can you hear me? Your voice is very soft. Can you guys hear me? Okay. No idea. Um,
Okay, so I don't know what's wrong. So yeah, we're okay. My apologies, guys. It's so funny, this technical issue. I have no technical issue until today. That's better audio, but very low. Yeah, sorry guys. All right, I don't know. We're just going to continue in this way, okay? All right. Anyway, we'll get back to our topic here. Yeah, so we're constantly choosing between the ego and the soul. And so how do we know which one is which? When we are choosing from the ego, it's usually the parts of us that are deeply connecting to the physical realm, desiring from the physical realm, needing and trying to satiate the inner desires of the physical part of ourselves, our physicality. And so what happens with that is that our intentional desires are to be met immediately through instant gratification. We desire certain scenarios, certain ideas, certain concepts, and usually those concepts are borrowed. They're usually adopted concepts from society, from family, from friends. When we come and drop down into the state of creation that is in a state of comparison or competition or um, and all of that coming from deep subconscious beliefs of unworthiness. We are constantly comparing ourselves with others, and the comparison towards others creates this friction energetically that really stagnates. And even though the law of manifestation in this universe is that things eventually do get manifested, whatever you want does get manifested, when it's not in alignment with your highest expression, it will end in suffering. And that is the part that a lot of people fail to understand, that sometimes we are so disconnected from our true self, that we don't really realize, who is actually asking that question. And this is why your awareness in the present moment is so powerfully important. Being fully in the present moment and being in alignment and congruent with your true self and what you are looking to manifest, through the higher octave of yourself, through the higher self. So the present moment is not just being aware of your surroundings. The present moment immediately allows you to access your higher expression, your higher self, because developing a maturity and a vision in that present moment allows you to kind of observe your surroundings, which allows you to understand and be able to observe truth. And usually, when we're not in the present moment, our minds are in the past or in the future, and we miss a lot of very important things in the present moment: communications, messages, signs, um, things that we need to integrate and we should have caught. But most of the time, because we're in survival mode, not in this present moment, we miss all of those very important communications. And those communications through the world, through the matrix, through the external, is being communicated to us. And we fail in that message. And so remember that we're constantly oscillating in many dimensions every moment, and everything is communicating with us. Everything around us is providing us information, messages. Um, it's providing us constant attunement with our environment and with the people that we're with. But if we are constantly not aware, and we miss those little important uh, markers that allow you to wake up consciousness every moment, and allow you to go deeper into a state of awareness. um, these kinds of choices and these scenarios, these events, these relationships, these environments, always going to trigger suffering on some level. So the human really needs to wake up consciousness in such a way to be fully present in the body, in order to access that connection to the higher self, which is providing constant communication. Now, additionally, what does it look like to have this higher self integrated with our physical self? Is that the concept of desire begins to change, because what we desire from the survivor is going to be always material. It's always going to be circumstantial. It's always going to be conceptual, with ideas. And remember that the survivor is in a dormant state, in a hypnotic dormant state, in which most of its DNA is disconnected, which means that it's unconscious about its multidimensionality. It's unconscious of the higher laws. It's unconscious of what is most in alignment with the evolution of that soul. Okay, so what happens in that case is that those survival mechanisms and choices bioelectrically are lessening the conductivity of the organism in that creation. So the highest point of creation for the human is that the human accesses a high level of conductivity. And we enter to become higher conduits when we open the channels of our body, which means that we're not in resistance with our own truths. Okay, you're not in resistance with your own truth. Most of the time, when we are in survival, our mind is in the past or in the future. You are avoiding the truth. You are in resistance of the truth. And a lot of times we might think that we're following this high conscious path, but in reality, remember that ascension requires you to cultivate really your highest expression, which is the most aligned with what is the highest good for the collective. And that is a process that we are working towards the embodiment of. What I mean by that is you can embody that instantaneously in this present moment if you choose, but to deeply integrate that, and the deeper we go into that, where there is a maturing process that the soul goes into. Remember, ascension layers of ourselves, of our subconscious mind. And unity consciousness doesn't necessarily mean that we are, surrounded in community. And this is one of the things that a lot of people struggle with, is when we think about entering into unity consciousness, it means, oh, we're finally going to have a family, we're going to have community, we won't be alone. But actually, the process of ascension is the deep integration of all parts of yourself, all fractals of yourself, in order to be able to see yourself as one with the collective, other humans, other things, other environments, other organisms from this experience. And that lifting of the veil of separation, the illusion of separation, is the key in which we anchor higher bands of frequency through this body bioelectrically. All the vessels in the body open. The chakras in the body are coming into alignment where we're able to anchor higher bands of frequency through the body, which allow for healing. And this kind of cultivation, the mastery of the human in this higher octave of existence, is where the human learns how to master the physical organism to heal itself, to regenerate itself, in order to heal mind, body, soul, psychologically, physically, emotionally. We begin to heal all these different parts of ourselves. And that is the activation of DNA. Okay, so when you begin to activate and anchor higher bands of frequency through the body, you are also accessing more of your brain activity. Okay, so this is something that, you know, will our science will catch up to, but essentially right now we're only using a very small portion of our brain, which is usually just managing survival mechanisms throughout your day. But the human brain that begins to develop more gray matter, that begins to regulate the nervous system, allows for more parts of the brain to work interconnectedly, connect and to fire. You know, the neural pathways begin to fire in a way that is more harmonious and more conducive to this organism. This is also the process in which the human begins to regain memory. Okay, which is essentially the activation of your DNA, which is the activation of the information that is in your morphogenetic field. So that information that begins to become available to the human is the reconnection into the Akashic records, which allows you to understand, to shift your perspective from this little myopic perspective of the human survival into this universal consciousness in which you're aware of yourself as, you know, you're aware of the history of humanity. You're aware of, you know, all of these states which you understand are existing simultaneously, but created and affected by only the present moment. So the human really requires this shift in understanding that the deep integration and activation of its higher octave and working in the cultivation of this self that is harmonious in alignment. Our desires are for harmony. Our desires are for truth. Our desires are for peace. Our desires are for the mastery of this human body. Our desire is to exist in harmony with all things, regardless of these external circumstances, of letting go of the need to control any part of ourselves, judgment, compartmentalizing, any need to control external circumstances in order to create the illusion of safety. There is a tremendous difference between the desire in that state and a state in which is open to embodying their highest expression. What happens is that even though we acquire all of those things that we want to acquire, the human soul has a certain timing in its experiences. And when the soul is acting from its highest expression, what happens is that everything is provided for that human. They are brought into opportunities of greater harmony, which are aligned with the soul's evolution, with the soul's expression. We are brought into environments that are nourishing, even more nourishing than you may have ever imagined. But this is only available if you are able to have those clear intentional desires from the soul, which is never about a material thing or control of an environment or a circumstantial thing. And we have a very profound confusion about what prayer is. We think, you know, we have been told, and I myself, you know, grew up in Catholic and religious concepts for a very short amount of time. But looking at the different religions and studying different religions and the concepts of prayer and yearning of things, a lot of them are externalizing your power, asking for something external to feed a certain part of us, to fulfill a certain part of us, to take us out of certain undesirable circumstances or situations, even illnesses. All of these kinds of core desires are going to move us out of alignment with what is necessary. And the law of accident functions like this. When we are in a conscious, awake state, we are consciously living in the present moment, and our desires and intentions are in that 0 point. We are manifesting and attracting things that are always in alignment with you, harmonious things. The moment that we start falling into survival, that's when we start having difficult experiences, challenges. And these concepts that we have to experience suffering in order to grow, those are very old concepts that are actually a construct that is very attached to the physical and material realm. And we are kind of moving through higher bands of frequency where we need to remember that actually, if you are in alignment and congruent with your soul, with your higher self constantly, you will not be put into those challenging situations because you will be in communication, in complete alignment with your discernment in order to constantly choose from the soul rather than from that ego self or the physical desiring self that wants to control. Okay, so this is really important because we continue to fall deep into states of suffering, conflict, struggle, and we are manifesting those experiences because of where our desires are placed, where our energy and our intention is focused. You might think that you're asking for something good for yourself, but if that core root desire is based in fear, or resistance or rejection or trying to avoid something, and what you're avoiding is what you need to see and alchemize, but you don't know how and you're running away from it. So you might not realize the profound impact that those choices have on your life, but they are the source of our suffering and our pain and our inherent, coming out of balance with what is in alignment with you. So the more we come into the present moment and the more we can come into congruency with this higher self, this is where we begin to access true creation. And the soul, the human that is operating from the soul, is the one that always finds themselves in abundance, in alignment, in congruent action, relationships, interactions with family, friends, whatever it is we're interacting, always comes into harmony. So we want to cultivate that connection with the soul, and we want to cultivate the voice of the soul. How do we do that? So we're going to go into the meditation today, but essentially, as we go deeper into the connection with our awareness fully in the present moment, we have to be willing to look at our truths, and we have to be willing to go into those very difficult emotions that you might be running away from. We have to observe them, feel them in the body, and understand the information that is being brought from them. And that will allow you to understand and discern what's in alignment. And also being extremely honest with yourself, because a lot of the times, what we are hoping, we tell ourselves that the reason why we are doing things is one thing, but subconsciously we have other plans for ourselves. So this is where we need to catch and come into that authenticity. So let's take a look at now in the body. Sorry, I've been talking all week in interviews and classes. I'm losing my voice. Let me come over here into the PowerPoint, because what I want to show you is our physical body, the way that we function in the body, and the way that we're manifesting and creating, how we are actually affecting this field. And as I mentioned, more of the brain that we're using for survival the less we are actually able to access higher bands of frequency in the body. Okay. So remember that our multidimensional bodies are spheres within spheres. They are layers. Open this so I can... The more we come into harmony with ourselves, this is where we can begin to actually open our truth. The higher self is actually operating in the seventh and the eighth chakra. The seventh and the eighth chakra, the crown, which is connecting to our Akashic records, to the earth, right here. This layer of the body, this entire dimension of the body, which is connected to your crown chakra, is connected to the DNA of the earth. It is connected with the layers, with all the Akashic records of the planet. So the more that we come into alignment with our highest expression, the more we can actually come into our truth, which is collective awareness. When we are constantly in a state of counter creation, the human really cannot even access these higher aspects of ourselves. So the crown, the eighth chakra, the ninth chakra, all of which are connecting with our higher faculties. The seventh chakra is responsible for the relationship with our higher self. When this chakra is blocked, and I want you to check into your body, how blocked are you in your crown? How dormant is your crown chakra? Have you, how much of your creation this week is coming from your crown, your manifestation? If you don't even know what's happening up in the crown and you haven't even checked in there, it might give you a good idea about what's happening with our creation and our manifestation. Okay. The eighth chakra, and I've talked about this many times, is the relationship with our source. Okay. So the relationship with source essentially is helping you connect with higher octave. And the eighth chakra is the chakra that goes into the next higher octave of the human body. So when we look here into the higher octave and we look at the Akashic records of the earth, okay, your connection to the earth, our DNA is being informed by these systems. This is where we start activating the next braid of DNA that is available to the human body. So we have many, okay, so we don't know this, but we actually, our DNA has many strands of DNA, which we don't even know, and we don't need to know that yet, okay, because right now we don't even need to know that. But the primary 24 strands, 12 strands of DNA, 24 strands of DNA, the 12 strands of DNA that are accessible to the human body are essentially available to the human through access of each one of these chakra bodies, because each one of the chakra bodies is braiding and processing information through a self-organizing system of lower octave to higher octave information. Okay, we hold within the body this information, and every time that we are accessing a memory, it's producing information based on its frequency of that memory in resonance with where it is stored within this organism. Okay. And each one of the chakras is is processing information from our DNA. That's why epigenetically we can either heal the body or we can continue the trauma and the cyclical trauma that we are holding in the body. Most of our choices and our decisions are coming from this ego self, which is the ego. There's nothing wrong with the ego. The ego is not the enemy. The ego is not the bad thing. The ego is simply the part of the filter of perception that is processing information of the body. It's nothing more than the identification, the individuation that happens in the physical body away from being the all. So the ego that allows to experience separation temporarily is simply navigating this physical realm based on the information that we allow it to access. Okay, so if what you are feeding into this little system of navigation is all the cyclical unconscious patterns of survival that are inherited from mom, dad, family, society, social engineering, all of these systems in the world in which we are constantly listening to and feeding concepts from, your product of those experiences will be suffering. And the reason why is because those concepts and creations of experience are meant for the experience of separation. When we are directing all our energy in the experience of mastering separation in the physical realm, which is the desire for matter, the desire for externalizing our power externally, like we need that kind of house to feel good about ourselves. We need that kind of relationship to feel secure. We need this kind of career in order to feel worthy, right? We need this kind of concept in order to feel that we have purpose. So that's all of your energy directing towards separation, because it's something else to make you and fulfill parts of yourself. This is the full experience of the matrix. So if we are continuously feeding from the chakra system, you hold these programs in your chakras. They are in your subconscious mind. They are programmed in your nervous system, in your muscle system. They are programmed in subconscious layers of yourself. They are what are processing your reality, all of which are coming from survival because you feel incomplete. You believe you are incomplete. And remember, creator states, depending on how you are perceiving reality, from the most separate states of creation that you are experiencing reality, is how your results of your experiences will be. So any of these states, we can fall into the desire of the ego rather than the soul. And that's always the fall from that higher state of consciousness. And we've experienced many lives of that. Many of you are, you guys are seers, you guys are shamans, you guys are light workers from generations, that you've been repeating the same little program, that once you reach the highest state of consciousness, something happens that allows you to fall. And it's always that falling back asleep into this concept of separation, falling back asleep into the concept of survival. So this is where we have to begin to shift how we are embodying that biologically, emotionally, energetically in the body. What that looks like is that the body is contracting. Even DNA in the body doesn't express itself fully. Okay, so anything that we are doing, which essentially means that our immune system is targeted, it's contracted. And we are also operating from very specific parts of our brain that limit our potential. Okay, that's the other part of it. We actually need to cultivate an interconnectivity in the whole body, the brain interconnected with the organs, and that we have channel communication between the organs, the brain, the nervous system, the muscle system, not that we compartmentalize or develop any one part singularly. All the system is coming into integration with itself. And that happens when we are in the present moment. When you are in the present moment, connected with your body, in this present moment, aware of your grounding down to the center of the earth, you are fully embodied. You are listening to your organs, to your muscles, to the nervous system. You are paying attention to how you are holding your body in this moment. That is where true communication comes from. And we also are accessing truth psychologically, mentally, because we are accessing information from the Akashic records, which allows you to shift from this very myopic perspective of survival into a universal consciousness. From here, your desires are now coming in alignment with what is good for the collective. Because you're so deeply connected with yourself and your body, you understand what is good for yourself. Not because you're hungry, you're going to go eat something, that all the parasites in the biome are desiring. From that moment, you make the choice, I'm going to do what is good for this organism, what brings this organism in its highest operating state, what brings this organism more into harmony. So the understanding harmonious states, understanding the harmony and what it means to be in harmony with higher bands of awareness means that we are operating from the soul. And this week, I invite you to ask where your desires are coming from. Are they coming from the ego or the soul? Is this a universal truth or a temporary truth? And if we continue to kind of observe where our, actions and our emotions, because right now we're going through a lot of emotional turmoil. And we're also going to be going through the earth, which is going through these volatile energies that are triggering strong emotions in the collective for the purpose of finding that internal self, that 0 point that then observes the chaos externally and continues to cultivate that 0 point, which is acting from the soul. Okay, so the 0 point is the embodiment of the soul, the integration of the higher self into the body. So when we begin to process and manifest from this higher self integration, we activate higher faculties, which are our intuition. We begin to attune with our environment and discern what is in attunement with us in that way, which allows you to bring yourself and manifest environments, circumstances, things that are truly harmonious with your highest expansion. And we don't poverty mindset. So those of you that are looking to try to create abundance in your life, take a look at the desires that you have. Your abundance is tied up in all the energy that is being directed towards separation, towards matter, towards the material. You will usually find that when you get what you want eventually, and it causes suffering, or it's not quite exactly what as you expected, it's usually because our desires are placed in a wrong place. They are things that are not really incongruent with our highest truth. They are things that are congruent with lower parts of ourselves, lower identities, lower desires, lower concepts. And what usually the things that you want, they come naturally to you. They manifest in your life naturally when you are in alignment with higher octave things, when you are intentionally looking for what is my highest expression. How do I access embody my highest expression? How do I cultivate integrity in myself? How do I cultivate truth? How do I cultivate peace? How do I cultivate harmony? When those become the pursuit of humanity. This creates a massive shift in frequency. That desire and that intention to be in alignment with your soul, with your higher self, is what heals this matrix, what heals this planet Earth. Healing simply means becoming whole, which means we begin to see ourselves as all. And it begins to dissolve these concepts of separation. So DNA becomes activated, all of the organism and the system becomes congruent and interconnected. The frequencies that we're holding into the body are more expanded states of consciousness, which begin to align you with higher octaves. The light body, the Merkaba light body, is now redirecting its creative energy from matter into light, from the material physical into this universal consciousness of interconnectedness. And this is where the Merkaba begins to activate, beginning to come into harmonious states, sacred geometry within the body, mind, body, and soul. Our DNA comes into this geometric, harmonious state. Our entire energetic system begins to activate the Merkaba. We go from closed states of intuition and guidance, because what happens is that we sever our guidance. We no longer cultivate our connection. We betray ourselves constantly over and over again because we're not listening to the connections, the informations, we're not paying attention to the informations that are available to us. Okay. We begin to redirect that into the center core of the heart, which is compassion through the heart, which allows you to come into harmony, mind, body, and soul with your truth. Truth, we're talking universal truths, not temporary truths. And this is something that we need to learn to discern in our lives constantly. So we begin to activate the Merkaba state, which essentially redirects again from that depletion state, the centrifugal state of depletion, where everything is outwardly externalizing, into a reintegration. Everything is activated inwardly. It is the source is providing as the source. Okay. So in today's meditation, let's take a look at that, because what happens to the body is that our entire frequency changes and we come into harmony. We are creating from the energetic field because we are creating from the soul. We are coming into higher desires that are good for the collective. We live in harmony, we live in truth, we live in congruency. And what happens emotionally is that we start to feel really good about ourselves, very proud of ourselves, because everything that we do, it's usually doing what is the right thing every time. It's not coming from, oh, maybe I can get away with this, or maybe I can, take a little bit more than I'm supposed to be given in this situation. Those concepts of the depletion of life force are always going to end up in suffering. To be able to do the right thing, what's in alignment and congruent with higher truths, is what brings the body into a state of higher well-being. All right, so let's get into the meditation, guys. I want you all to get nice and comfortable. With every breath you take, as you allow yourself to come into a state of absolute relaxation and calm, breathing deeply. Connecting with the body. I want you to allow yourself to ground down to the center of the earth. Come into absolute stillness. And as you allow yourself to come into complete reconnection with the body, let's begin by shrinking the root chakra down to the size of a dime, the sacral and the solar. Go up into the heart, expanding the heart, expanding the throat and the third eye. Go up into your crown, activating your crown. Become aware of your field. You have any holes, tears, openings in your field? I'm going to start by pulling green life force in from the center of the earth, pull it up into the center core, creating a vortex of energy. From source, go ahead and bring down a powerful wave of gold cosmic energy down from the crown of your head, combining with green earth energy. Go ahead and take 10% of that back down to the center of the earth. 80% goes up your spine, from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your field. And final 10% comes into the body now, into the bones, the cellular level of your body. So now that you're here, begin to observe what are some of the circumstances that have been coming up for you in the past week. Observe the emotions that come up the most. Notice the lowest emotions that you've been feeling. Any of the negative emotions that have been coming up. Be present. Observe them in the body. Allow yourself to receive the information as it comes up through your body. Go ahead and observe yourself in one of these memories that has come up the most this week. Try to choose the one that the emotion, this negative emotion, is the strongest in you. That's usually the one that will come up anyway, naturally. Go ahead and see yourself there in that moment and observe the emotions that are in your body. Notice any parts of you that want to resist feeling the emotion or acknowledging thoughts that come up. If you don't want to acknowledge certain thoughts, it's because we are resisting. Allow yourself to acknowledge whatever might be coming up. Just observing without any judgment. Allowing your body to feel what it needs to feel. And you're going to look at the observer that is observing that feeling. Allow yourself to open yourself up to those insights that become available to you in your observation. Every time a new emotion comes up, shift into the observer of that emotion, your body. Every time a new thought or a new memory comes up, access the emotion of that memory or that thought and observe it in the body. Acknowledge everything that comes up. Usually the parts that are hardest to acknowledge are the ones that you need the most, need to acknowledge the most. Allow your body to know that it's okay to feel what it needs to feel. That it's okay for it to come into its own truth. Most of our trauma is a result of us denying our own truth and then identifying with what isn't true, which results in profound suffering, profound blocking, profound stagnation, profound self-betrayal. So allow yourself to acknowledge what needs to come up. Watch as the body sinks into deeper states of relaxation as you do so. And as you begin to access the strongest root emotion, allow yourself to observe that emotion in your body. It might come as a strong bodily sensation or feeling or emotion at first. As you allow yourself to be absolutely still, even if in its discomfort. On the other side of that discomfort is information that you need to observe, that you need to acknowledge, that you need to know. Most of our suffering comes from this illusion that we cannot be our divine self, that it's not safe to be the higher self. It's not safe to be the source here on this planet Earth. That it's not welcome, that it's rejected, that it's abandoned, that it's judged. And a lot of us, innately, we have this divine connection to the source, but we do everything possible to suppress it in order to fit in or to be liked or to be loved or to be accepted or seen or acknowledged. So allow yourself to be the first to completely give yourself the permission to embody all parts of this expression, to let it manifest fully in your life as a guide, as a direction, as the source of your desires, the source of your clarity, the source of your direction, the source of your creation. Fearlessly. Because as you will see, this is the embodiment of the unknown. It is a surrendering that has to occur in order to be able to be willing to experience whatever is available without needing to control the outcome. That is what it means to be the embodiment of infinite potential. So begin to acknowledge all the parts of you that are in resistance of that infinite potential, of that unknown, of that loss of control. And gently and lovingly nurture and nurse those parts back into wholeness once again. In which you can embody this very fluid, creative state of divinity that is innate to you. It is the true self. And it has no name, it has no form, it has no definition. That is what makes it true. What makes it true is that it is a reflection of the all. It is all and nothing simultaneously. It is pure life force in the process of experiencing an expansion. And it is following the guidelines in alignment with ascension. The more we resist the flows, the ebb and flows of nature, the more we fall out of alignment with this natural ascension, with the natural healing, regeneration, rejuvenation. We get in our own way. So go ahead and access and see before you all the fractals of yourself that are existing in this consciousness of resistance, of denial, of contraction of yourself. Go ahead and see it before you. You can see it in a crowd. Just gently begin to shine your crown light, which is your higher self, on top of them. Just observing all those contractual agreements that we've made in many generations, in the fear, in the avoidance of our highest self, of our truest expression, of our highest cultivation. Look at how they look: contracted, fearful, tattered, exhausted, weak, depleted, lonely, disconnected, disempowered. I want you to infuse these parts of you with the innate truth of what they are. Reactivate their memory. As you are doing that, you are activating your DNA. You are reconnecting yourself with the natural cycles of this system. And you'll see that what you are connecting them with was the innate innocence, that purity of what you are already. You are just shaking them out of the dream state, the unconscious dream state of separation. You are lovingly reawakening them into a unified state of themselves, within themselves, towards themselves, in which they open the gates of infinite potential through them. Allow your body here and now to begin to release all these emotions of anxieties, fears, the need for control, the fear of losing control, the fear of your power, the fear of your truth. Eliminate all of those fears. Imagine that it's trickling out of your body, being absorbed into the center of the earth. And your body is becoming emptier and emptier of these memorized programs, these memorized belief systems. Your nervous system becomes calmer and calmer. The muscles become more expanded and more expanded. Your body comes into deeper states of stillness. Your awareness becomes more and more expanded as you feel yourself in this environment, and you also feel all things around you as an extension of yourself. your heart with a larger capacity of compassion, love, your mind with an expanded flexibility of truth, your root chakra feeling secure in its own self, with its own self. As it recognizes it is no longer separate from anything. Rather, it is the source of everything. Go ahead and clear the root chakra completely, the root body, the entire root sphere of your body, clear it out. The sacral, the solar, clear it out. The heart, clear it out. The throat, and the third eye, the crown. As you begin to remove any blockages from yourself in your eighth chakra, all of your chakras are opened now in harmonious balance. I want you to inhale deeply, integrating these fractals of yourself that have now merged into one self. And begin to observe this one self, how it has shifted its perception about how it's going to hold its energy, how it's going to represent itself in the world, how it will face adversity, how it will begin to choose from the soul and begin to experience bliss and harmony, how it will focus on its cultivation and the embodiment of its higher self, and how the soul will begin to direct and desire deeper connection through its actions, relationships, through its movements through this matrix, through this earth, as it begins to see itself as a greater whole. Allow yourself to embody pure observation. Surrounding your body with white light. Go ahead and see all of your karmic contracts and dissolve them completely with your crown chakra. Allow yourself to cut cords with people, places, and things from the past week, from the past month. Call back your life force into your body, integrating deeply. Excellent. Allow yourself to come back into the room, and as you open your eyes, begin to reconnect with yourself, your environment, and begin to observe how it feels. Very good, guys. That's awesome. It was such a pleasure to share with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. And today, if you guys are in the Bay Area, I am in Fremont, and I am going to be doing a sound bath frequency healing. It was such an honor to be here with you. I love you so much. And if you guys have any questions, do put them in the chat below. And yeah, I'm really happy to connect with you guys. And I hope to see you soon. Much love, everybody. Bye. In the Zoom, thank you so much. In the chat on YouTube, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your super chats and your beautiful comments. And I will see you soon. Bye.